It appears Obama is okay with the morning after pill for sales at age 15. Plan B one-step pills are now comfortably available on shelves next to the condoms. Apparently, the FDA Commissioner Margaret Hamburg states that research has shown that access to emergency contraceptive products has the potential to further decrease the rate of unintended pregnancies. The data reviewed by the agency demonstrated that women 15 years of age and older were able to understand how Plan B one-step works and how to use it properly, and that it does not prevent the transmission of a sexually transmitted disease. Now, right there's just too much information for a 15-year-old, typical, uneducated, not informed, manipulated by the pop culture to understand anything. Believe me, they don't. Okay? Especially at that age. Giving them way too much decision making, way too much ability to, first of all, they can't even use condoms. They can't even properly understand how to use a condom. So how are they going to properly understand how to use this pill? And they will not use condoms. They will use this instead, and Obama is okay with this. Food and Drug Administration on Tuesday had lowered the age to 15 from 17, and now they're right on the store shelves, like I said. Doctors groups led by the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists urge the Obama administration not to let the FDA action be the last word. Any over-the-counter access marks a long-awaited change, but it's not enough, said Dr. Cora Bruner of the American Academy of Pediatrics, which supports non-prescription sale of morning after pill for all ages. So I'm just like, this is just outrageous. And the thing that's going to happen, it is going to lead to unsafe sex, and they're saying that it's not because these 15-year-old kids are really well educated and know all about it. They know exactly what's going on. The FDA's decision was based on solid scientific evidence. You mean like the solid scientific evidence that you're stating now that it's the American guns that are the problem in Mexico with the drug cartels?
That most of the guns used to commit violence here in Mexico come from the United States.
All right, well, there are new accusations against the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Critics say that the federal agency is now retaliating by firing the agent who blew the whistle on the mission that allowed thousands of guns to get into the hands of Mexican drug lords. That's known as Fast and Furious.
I'm going to continue to state the truth. That's all I can do, is make sure that people are held accountable for their actions. We've exposed it. Eric Holder, Ken Melson, Billy Hoover, Mark Tate have all ignored documentary evidence of abuses and unethical conduct by Chief Counsel's office and our leadership.
And while they're reviewing that, you'll continue to get paid. Is that right?
Well, that's up to them, I guess. I'm not driving this ship. I tried to resolve this in-house informally years ago, and I've gotten hundreds of I don't knows and I don't recalls under oath, so it's pretty difficult to hit a moving target like that when the managers don't know what they were doing or why they did it.
Yeah. Any regrets?
No, none whatsoever.
All right, Vince.
I took an oath, and
go ahead.
I took an oath, and I plan to uphold it.
I think many of you know that in America our Constitution guarantees our individual right to bear arms. And as president, I swore an oath to uphold that right, and I always will. But at the same time, as I've said in the United States, I will continue to do everything in my power to pass common sense reforms that keep guns out of the hands of criminals and dangerous people.
People such as myself, dangerous people who want to restore constitutional Republican government. People who fight corruption and expose the truth.
So we'll keep increasing the pressure on gun traffickers who bring illegal guns into Mexico. We'll keep putting these criminals where they belong, behind bars.
You mean like Eric Holder? I mean, the people are asleep. Wake up, everybody. I'm really starting to get angry because it's right in your face. How come I can see it and you can't? How come many of the people that are watching this are shaking their heads knowing what I'm talking is right and happening. These criminals have to be impeached and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And if they're convicted of treason, hang them and restore this republic to as the founding fathers intended, and restore individual liberty, and we will all, as Americans, prosper. Back to this birth control pill for the 15-year-old kids. And the thing that's going to happen, it is going to lead to unsafe sex, and they're saying that it's not because these 15-year-old kids are really well educated and know all about it. They know exactly what's going on. You remember when you were 15, you knew what was going on, right? Yeah, they're educated, all right. But there's a problem, because there's a new sex superbug that could be worse than AIDS. That's right. It's a gonorrhea strain, HO41, discovered in Japan 2 years ago in a 31-year-old female sex worker who had been screened in 2009. The bacteria has since been found in Hawaii, California, and Norway. Because it resists current antibiotic treatment, the strain has been placed in the superbug category with other resistant bacteria, such as MRSA and CRE. These superbugs kill about half the people they attack, and nearly 1 in 20 hospital patients become infected with one, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So again, this is part of the depopulation plan, these incredible scientific eugenics, scientific depopulation plans. This is just blaring in your face right here with the Plan B pill, which will also lead to these gonorrhea, because people are going to be taking these pills, these kids and everyone else, and they're going to be having sex and thinking everything's fine because they can't get pregnant. And let's face it, we're humans. You know, even if they did use condoms, the 1 or 2 times, they won't. It's use your own judgment, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have to, tell you how to be a good parent or preach about what children, how kids are. We were all kids. All right. Appalling irresponsibility. Science, this is even worse. Senior scientists attack a Chinese researcher, or the Chinese researchers, again, these communists, they're insane. And remember, the loving relationship between China and the Rockefeller family. I mean, and the same thing with the Soviet Union. There was a bank in Moscow in the Kremlin. There is a Rockefeller Bank. And also there is a tremendous connection between China since Nixon opened the doors, and David Rockefeller went there and said Mao Zedong was one of the greatest leaders in history in 1973. Wrote an article called the China Traveler. You can read it. You can Google it. China Traveler by David Rockefeller. He does call Mao Zedong one of the greatest leaders in history. And the China model is the UN model. This is where they want to really move the world government to be closest to the living conditions in China. And they want to continue to depopulate. That's very important. In this case, Chinese researchers are being attacked for creating new strains of influenza virus in veterinary laboratory. So what they're doing is they are mixing avian influenza H5N1 viruses, okay, with normal human flu viruses, creating a super virus, a killer flu. So you have U.S. censorship is very heavy on this. They're not really talking about it, but you have this killer flu that can be used as a weapon in the population. Senior scientists have been obviously criticized for doing this. Lord May of Oxford, a former government chief scientist and past president of the Royal Society, denounced the study published today in the Journal of Science as doing nothing to further the understanding and prevention of flu pandemics. Of course not. They claim they are doing this to help develop vaccines and the such and like. In fact, the real reason is that they are driven by blind ambition with no common sense whatsoever. That's what Lord May told The Independent. The record of containment in labs like this is not reassuring. They are taking it upon themselves to create human-to-human transmission of a very dangerous virus. It's appallingly irresponsible. The controversial study into viral mixing was carried out by a team led by Professor Hulan Chen, director of China's National Avian Influenza Reference Laboratory at Harbin Veterinary Research Institute. Professor Chen and her colleagues deliberately mixed the H5N1 bird flu virus, which is highly lethal but is not easily transmitted between people, with a 2009 strain of H1N1 flu virus, which is very infectious to humans. When the flu viruses come together by infecting the same cell, they can swap genetic material and produce hybrids through the reassortment of genes. The researchers were able to emulate what happens in nature when animals such as pigs are co-infected with two different strains of virus, Professor Chen said. The studies demonstrated that H5N1 viruses have the potential to acquire mammalian transmissibility by reassortment with the human influenza viruses. Professor Chen then said in an email, "This tells us that the high attention should be paid to monitor the emergence of such of these viruses in nature to prevent a possible pandemic caused by H5N1 virus. It's difficult to say how easily this will happen, but since H5N1 and H1N1 viruses are widely existing in nature, they may have a chance to reassort." So these mad scientists are creating what, like Lord, what is it? What's his name? Oh my God! Oh, Prince Philip. Prince Philip says when he dies, he would like to come back in his reincarnation as a virus that can do something good for humanity. Well, here's the virus that he's talking about. Appalling. Absolutely appalling. Terrifying. What else could you say about that? It's just unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. So the sex bug, superbug that can be worse than AIDS. Then you have a hybrid avian and H1N1 virus flu that's being modified, genetically modified for proper terminology, for humans to be attacked. You have GMO foods, you have genetically modified organisms, creatures. It's unbelievable. They're mad scientists. These people are insane, and they'll give money to anybody that will that has similar thinking of these things as being somehow good for humanity somehow. I don't know. Growing organs. I could see the logistics of some of the stem cell research that I've had that's there, but it's unbelievable. But the other aspects, I think, are the hidden, again, occulted aspects of all of this scientific advancement is extremely malevolent. Certainly a double-edged sword.